Hi everybody, Jessie here from jessiebanks.com and welcome back to another video. So for today's video, I am using Simon Says Stamps, thanks a bunch, clear stamp set. I will have a link to all of the products in the description box below. I do use affiliate links where possible, which just means I get a small percentage of what you purchase. It doesn't cost you anything more, and it just goes towards buying equipment, stamp sets, coloring mediums, all sorts of things that you guys want to see here on the channel. I apologize for my voice. I'm extremely sick, but I've had this video and I haven't put anything up in so long that I figured I should record the narration for you. So I am inking this up with my Versamark ink. So this is a clear sticky ink onto Arch's 140-pound hot press watercolor paper. I am then going to use the Hero Arts extra fine white embossing powder on top of that, and we're going to heat set that with our heat tool, and that's going to give us those nice bright white lines in the watercoloring that we're doing today. So you can see it there unset. Then I'm just going to take my little Milwaukee heat gun here and I make sure it's nice and hot, and I heat it from the front and back. That just helps to stop any warping that's going to happen from blasting that heavy paper with so much heat. And as soon as that embossing powder turns shiny, it's done and I move on to a different area. I don't want to overcook that embossing powder and cause any sort of harm to it. So when that's all done, I will tape that down onto my Epicurean board here and we will start painting. I have an Escoda Versatile watercolor brush here. It's like a faux squirrel, I do believe. I really like it. I picked it up in Calgary when I was there over Christmas, and I'm really happy with it so far. So I'm just dropping some clean, clear water in, and then we're going to come in and start adding our pigments. I have only sped this video up 2 times its original speed, so I'm going pretty fast, but not as fast as I usually have to speed my videos up to keep them within like a 15-20 minute time frame, so you guys aren't hanging out with me forever, because that gets rather boring. So I'm starting just by dropping in some sap green here to give those stems some color. Oh look, that's my stove going off. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Making supper while I'm homesick. Yeah, it's fun. Anyway, I digress. Back to where I wasn't. So I'm just starting to drop in some color and I'm letting the water slowly pull that in its own way while we're making sure I'm inside of those really fine lines, in case you can't see me struggle here. As long as your watercolor paper is like cool, it's wet. And as long as it's wet, that watercolor is going to move into its own thing inside of the fibers of the cotton paper, which is the beauty of watercolor and why I love it so much. Is you can only control it to a certain point, and after that it's kind of got a mind of its own and it just does its own thing, and it's really, really pretty. I am primarily using, actually I think I completely use Daniel Smith watercolors in this one. I know they're a favorite among lots of us crafters. I have a ridiculous collection that nobody needs, so I need to use them on all cards all the time. So once we get all of those mapped in here, it just takes a little time. I could have fast forwarded some of this bits and pieces a little faster, but people really, really like to watch, people really enjoy watching the process, and I kind of like letting it stay in so you guys can see me putz and futz with everything, especially when I'm lucky enough to have a card that didn't take me 2 hours to paint, so I can show you guys a little bit more of the process and the details here. And you'll see it all come together. It currently looks like I am just painting a bunch of finicky little areas green that don't make much sense, but they are part of the stems, and once we add in the purple in the flowers, you will see them all come together a little bit more here. Continuing to drop in that green color. I do go back and add a little bit of perylene green afterwards just to deepen some of those stems and give them a bit more depth and dimension to them, make them a little more rich and colorful. I love the way this card comes together in the end. I do have another one. I will link it in the eye here of this exact same stamp set that I did in super bright and vivid colors with a black outline. If you guys want to check that one out, it's a watercoloring video as well. I was really, really proud of that one, and it was super fun to get to use the stamp set twice. I don't get to do that often enough. I really should. So it's fun when I get to do that and film it so you guys can see kind of 2 different variations of card styles you can make using the exact same stamp set twice. So now we're going in and I'm starting to drop some color into those little buds that are on this bouquet, and I am dropping in that wisteria to start with, which was one of the newer colors for 2017, I do believe, from Daniel Smith. They have new colors this year, a bunch of grays, Be Still My Heart, and that gray gray titanium buff, I do believe it's called. I can't remember offhand. And the new Primatech. I just need them all. I need them all. I like paints. I'm sorry. Anyway, Once I get that wisteria and it starts to spread a little bit, I come in with some quinacridone purple to drop at the bottom just to deepen up the base of that color in order to give it some more texture and dimension. The wisteria is a really, really light purple. The pigment does have a lot of white in it, so that's what I expect from it. And then when you drop in that darker purple, you get that variation from dark to light, and it melds and molds and does its own thing in amongst the wet watercolor paper. So you can kind of see how when you drop it in, that embossing holds your water and holds the paper, or holds your water and your color within the embossing. It's like it creates a little barrier and a little area for it to pool and puddle and stay inside of, which takes a lot of the trickiness out of watercolor. You don't have to worry about going outside of your black lines or going outside of your no lines because it's all withheld and contained, and you can drop in a lot stronger of a pigment load and not worry about it going all over the place, or drop in your water to create your clear water so that let me explain that again. When you drop in just clear water, your pigment only goes where the paper is wet. So when you drop in that clear water with the embossed edge, you can be a little more free with how much water you put in there, as opposed to when you have black lines or something flat on the paper and it can puddle outside of where you want it to stay. So it helps you be in control a little bit more of a medium that's not quite as easy to control as, say, Copics or colored pencils or anything of that nature. This stuff kind of has a little bit more of a mind of its own, I guess is what I'm saying. So we're just continuing to paint some purple flowers here. I hope you guys do enjoy that I didn't speed this one up as much, and you can get a little more detail out of the video and see a little bit more of what I'm doing. I did paint this entire image, unless I used a different brush for the background. I can't remember off the top of my head. I did paint this one up during February for Kathy Rakusen's 30-day coloring challenge, where I didn't miss a day. Thank you very much. I was super proud of myself. So happy the month's over though. So we're dropping in again more of that wisteria, and then we'll come back with that quinacridone purple just to deepen up those edges. I do find that if I put my palette off to the side so you can see what colors I'm picking up, it gets to be a little hard for you to see, and I don't use the same palette for everything, and I pull colors all over the place, and then I have little dishes that I drop things into, and it just ends up being like a whole pile of palettes, and it seems so busy. So if you guys prefer to see the colors that I'm using off to the side, let me know in the description box below, and I can see if I can pull that back in and make it work. I used to do it all the time. I just found it was easier now to set them all up around me so I can pick which colors I want from where, but I can definitely put like a palette or a mixing tray so you guys can see what I'm doing a little bit easier into the frame of the camera, if that's something you'd be interested in seeing. So where I'm dropping the darker color on the outside is just where petals are laying underneath of others, and I want them to have a little bit more definition just to make me a little bit happier with the way things are going. Now when I am painting next to each other here, I did take a break and let that first flower dry just in case I got a little bit too overzealous with the water and I didn't want things to bleed in. Again, a bonus of embossing, you don't have to wait as long for things to dry to be able to go on to your next section and work wet next to wet, and it won't pull the colors in and bleed. I love how you just drop a whole bunch of color into all of this wet area and it just kind of explodes and fills out, and all of a sudden it's a flower. That's super fun. I think it's so pretty. So I hope everybody has been well. I know I haven't been posting a ton of videos. Work has been crazy. Crazy, absolutely crazy. I've been working, last week I worked like 115 or 117 hours in 2 weeks. So it's just been a lot, and I haven't had a lot of energy. And then my son has karate 2 nights a week, and then we do swimming and skating, and we're just busy. And unfortunately he comes prior to YouTube, and the job has to come before YouTube because YouTube and the affiliate links do not pay for my mortgage and my car payment and all my bills. This is my hobby. So I do appreciate that you guys enjoy my videos, and if I don't have videos for things and you'd like to see what I'm creating, I definitely have a link to my blog and my Instagram in the description box below. You can check that out for things that I haven't filmed and lots of different things that I have going on in the card making realm. So we're getting on to our last flower here and coming closer to the end, I do believe, after we add the background in. So it's just the same process over and over again, dropping in that wisteria and then finishing it out with some of the quinacridone purple to deepen up the darker points of that flower. I love this stamp. I will use this stamp forever. I am so happy it hasn't been retired and it's still in stock And you guys can get, because I really love this one. I think it's fantastic, and it works for so many different things. Thank you cards. You can switch sentiments and send birthday cards or sympathy cards, or it's such a versatile image to use for anything you really, really want. It doesn't lean like a strong, it's not like specifically birthday or boy or sorry, or you know what I mean? You can stamp any sentiment you want alongside of it, and it'll work for pretty much anybody. And I just enjoy Simon Says stamps. I have quite a vast collection, and I have a couple more on their way to me. I should go check the mail today. They might be here. Anyway, that's my random thought of the day. So now we're going to start adding in some background here, and I kept this very, very faint. I went through and I added in some of the Moon Glow color, which is, it's a gray, but it leans purple. It's a beautiful color. Lots of us have it in our collections. It's one you hear card makers talk about over and over again. If you're going to pick up a Daniel Smith color, make sure you get Moon Glow because you'll use it all the time. I'm on my second tube. I really enjoy this color. I think it's super pretty for backgrounds and things. And then I do add in a little bit of blue as well, and that will be the Sleeping Beauty turquoise. So it just gives us a little bit of a balance between gray and blue. You don't see a lot of blue in the end, but I'm really happy with the way this one turned out, guys. Yeah, I don't know what else to talk about. We're still working on background. I think we have like another 4 minutes of background. What should we talk about? My son, he's crazy. My cousin came down with her son on the weekend, and those two are like the best of friends. But when they get together, all they do is fight. They're both, well, Bryn's not an only child, but he's 11, 12, 12. And his sisters are in their 20s. So he grew up as virtually an only child. And Caleb is an only child. So they don't share very well. So by the time the weekend's over, it's like, oh my goodness, thank you so much that everybody's going back to their own space and they don't have to fight anymore. So that was fun. We took them swimming and skating and just had a great weekend. Went out for supper with my grandmother and my parents. And it was good to visit. Me and my cousin are really close, and she's probably one of my best friends. So it's really nice when we get together and get to visit and hang out, because it doesn't happen often enough. She lives about 3 hours away from me. So this is where we're coming through and dropping in that Sleeping Beauty turquoise and working on blending that one out. Yeah, I don't have a lot of stories. I've been sick and I've been working. And I'm currently looking outside and it looks so beautiful because the sun is shining, but it is so cold and the wind is so violent, and I'm over winter. I want summer. I want to wear flip-flops and shorts and go for a walk. That's what I want to do. That's all I want to do. So we're just carrying on with the background here, and I am running out of things to talk about, which makes me feel real terrible because I usually have like stories and things lined up I can tell you guys, and I really don't have any right now. Not much at all. Yeah, I don't know. I got engaged over Christmas. It's March and I'm telling you that now. You've probably seen my ring in a couple videos. I don't really flaunt it, and I'm not a big like pusher of my personal life on Facebook or Instagram or anything, which is odd because I tell you guys all sorts of stories here. But yeah, Kevin and I took both of our children, he's got a 18-year-old son, out to Banff with Kevin's niece over the holidays, and he asked me to marry him, so that was super exciting. We've been together forever. Caleb is 9, so we've been together for like 8 years, 7 years, 8 years now. It's been a very long time, so it was definitely time. We were never in a big hurry. I mean, I wasn't going anywhere, and nor was he, so I was excited. I finally got a pretty ring. That's about all I know. We haven't like picked a date or planned the wedding or anything like that yet, but it's good, and I'm excited, and it's super thrilling, and yeah. So now I'm going back in and I'm just adding a little bit more of that quinacridone purple to the center of the flowers. I just felt like they got lost a little bit and they needed a little more depth in the middle, so that's what we're giving them now. So I'm just dropping it in and then wiping my my brush off on a rag to be able to pat it out a little bit and have it fade so that it's not quite such a stark blend into the other colors. You can see how it just kind of deepens up those centers a little bit. I think it looks really, really pretty, and it works super well. I did make sure that my paper was completely dry before I started this though, because I didn't want it to bleed out too far so that we lost all of that light wisteria color on the edges of the flowers. So this one in total took about half an hour to put together. It was super fast relatively compared to what things normally take me. And I think it turned out really, really pretty. So, like I said, all of the links to all of the information, the stamp set, the watercolors I use, the watercolor paper, and all of that will be in the description box below. So now I'm just going to add that thank you sentiment from the same stamp set. We are going to stamp it using our Distress Oxide Seedless Preserves ink here, and it was a little bit more reddy purple than the flower, but it worked just fine for me. So I stamped that a couple of times just to make sure it was super crisp and clear, and that will be the end of it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Give me a thumbs up if you do. If you aren't subscribed to the channel, I would love for you to be subscribed, and I will see you guys soon for another one. Bye for now.